Okay, so this is the program we're going to be using, Unity, and I'm going to go through the basics of all the different areas in Unity that we will be using. So when you first load up, normally it's going to look like this, and there are three major areas within Unity that you need to know. One is this area down here, this entire strip here. The second one is this area here, and the third one is this area on the right. Okay? The first area is that when we're making a game, we're going to need things for our game. What type of things do you think we might need in making a game? A background?
Characters.
Characters, yeah. Hold on, class. Is she nice? They don't have one over there? There we go. Okay, so I heard characters, avatars. Okay, levels, okay. What? Maybe, yeah, colors. What? Movement, okay. Music. Character functions, okay. You mean what makes them move and all that, right? Okay. So, a lot of good things here, right? You didn't get a chance? What? Scenery, which would be our levels, our backgrounds, okay. So, these are all things that we're going to need in our project. So, we can bring a whole bunch of this stuff into our project, but we don't have to use everything. I might say, okay, I've got 20 backgrounds and I've got them in my project, and I'm like, I only like 5 of them, so I'm going to use 5 different backgrounds. The rest of them, they're still in my project, but I'm not using them in the game. Which is kind of like if I have a box full of items and I only use 5 of those items, right? But I still have the box, don't I? Yeah? Okay, so this area here is where we're going to keep all of the items that we bring into the project. Doesn't mean that they're necessarily used, it just means that they're there and we could use them if we want to. Alright? There's a word for that. They're called assets. An asset is something that you bring into your game and it's there ready to be used. Is that hard? One simple short word, asset. Okay? So anything that I bring in here, I might want to bring in, let's go to here, let's go to the AGD, others. Let's go to this, let's go to no, let's not go to that. Let's go to this. Nope, let's not do that. Let's go to this. Okay, got a bunch of graphics here, and I had some better ones. Where are they? Where are they? Here we go, creatures. Alright, here we've got a whole bunch of creatures, right? These are just in a folder on my computer. Alright? But I want to get him into the project, so let's say I want him, let's take him, take him. Alright, so I've just dragged them into here, and these are now part of my project, okay? They've changed location, they're in a special folder called Assets in my project. They're not a part of my game yet though. They're just sitting there waiting to be used, okay? So, when anything sits in here, it's going to be an asset. And within a good game, you're probably going to have like thousands and thousands of assets. What about the desk? What is that you have there? This food, right? In my classroom. I really can't do that. After Mr. White spoke about this one. Alright. So, we have our assets there, and they're not quite a part of the game yet. They're part of the project, They're in my project, just not a part of the game. So we want to make them a part of the game. This area here is where we store things. Oh, and I was saying you might have thousands of assets. And for all that, you don't want to have to keep on scrolling through everything. The best thing is to keep them organized. What's a good way of keeping things organized? What? They have their labels, but another way? Well, that's the same as labeling.
Or in their colors.
No, okay, no. Anything else?
Put in folders.
Ah, there we go, folders. So, these are obviously creatures, right? So I might want to do this. I'm going to say, I right click, and it's going to give me an option, and it says create here. And here at the top it says folder. So this is a folder, and I'll call it creatures. Okay? Which means I can take all of these guys here, and I'm going to drag them into creatures, and now this looks a lot neater. And if I go into creatures, I found them. Okay? So when you have thousands of different assets, you want to keep them nice and neat and organized. How do we get them actually into the game then? Well, this area up here is our game area. Once something moves from here to here, once anything exists up here, it is in the game. Okay? This is the area where we see everything in the game, and this is a list of everything in the game. Yep?
So once you put something in the game area, you can't take it back out again?
You can delete it. An asset is still here. Once I did that, did it move from the asset? It's still a part of my project. But now it's also a part of the game. So this here is a part of the game, which I can delete it, but it doesn't touch the asset. The asset's still there. Okay? Now these are called assets. Once they move up here, they have another name. They're called game objects.
So they set it up so in case you want to put in more?
I can, yeah. Okay, that was a good question. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now look over here. It says Dragon's Hydra, Dragon's Hydra 1, Dragon's Hydra 2. Each of them got a new name for each of these. And you see, as I click on it, what's happening over in the left?
It's moving down.
It's selecting the one over there.
What is different?
If I click on this one, you can see it's selecting all of them. Okay? Delete, delete, delete. Okay? So once they're over there, once they're up there, they're called a game object. In other words, they're an object in the game. Yes?
What is the wait up?
This, that's a camera. All games need a camera to look and see what's going on. Okay? Yes?
You can put a background on?
We'll get into that, yeah? We'll get into that. So, alright, so on that camera, as you said, this view that I'm seeing here is where I start to build things. That's not what I'm seeing in the game. It's only where I'm building things. I can actually zoom out on this window to see more. I could move around in the window so I can look anywhere else. But what do you think the game is actually seeing? I'm going to point at you. What do you think the game is seeing? What? The game is actually seeing whatever the camera sees. So there's a camera there. Do you see this? Once I clicked on it, do you see that popped up there?
Yes, sir. That's before shouldn't be.
Right. So up here it says, right there it says scene. This is my level, where I'm building my level. Next to it, it says game. Well, that looks different, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
What I like to do is that I like to take this, grab it, rip it off, and bring it down and put it here. This here is showing me what the camera sees. So if I did that, and I drag the picture in, I see it in the game. This is actually what I see in the game. If I move the camera around, so I'm going to grab the camera, and I move the camera around, it looks like he's moving, right? He's not moving, the camera is moving. If I grab him and do that, he's moving, but the camera's not moving. Got it? So this is what the game will see. Yes?
And get those like, that's what they refer something.
Do what?
Refer something.
you can make him do whatever you want as long as you have the imagination and the skills to do it. Yes.
So sir, like how would you add like sound into it?
We'll get into sound a little bit later. Okay. But I want to start with, here we had our, let me delete him, let me reset my camera, reset, okay. So, anything I put up there is a game object. Got it? Our third area, over here, it's called an inspector. What do you think an inspector does? Nobody says the word inspects. What does the inspector do?
Make sure nothing is wrong with the character.
Okay, that's not a bad thought. Okay, not a bad thought. No. Okay, actually that's the best I've ever heard. Okay? That's the best I heard so far. It looks at everything, right? It wants to look over everything. However, not quite everything. It wants to look over whatever I have selected. Okay? If I clicked on this dragon down here, what are these called again?
Assets.
Assets. So if I click on him, what just happened?
He pops up.
A whole bunch of information popped up, right? That's information about him. Alright? If I clicked on another one, it kind of looks the same, but you notice the graphic changes there and there. Up at the top and down at the bottom, the graphic changes. But a lot of these stay the same because these are all images. So they've got the same properties. They're all the same type of images. So they'll have the same properties. And all of these here deal with these assets. So here's my dragon again. I'll drag him back up here. What's he called when he's up here?
Game object.
Game object, correct. So, I select him, and what's over here? Information, right? Information about what?
It's
It's the same as before, right? Watch. Is it the same? It's got different options, right? Because as I said, these are assets, those are game objects. Game objects will have different properties than the assets. The assets deal with him being an image. The game object deals with him being an object in the game.
So you can move it around using that.
Things like moving him around, okay? And game objects all start with properties. Okay, let me delete him. And over here, we're going to see, that's where we list off all the things that tell us what the game object is about. Why the game object does what it does. How does the game object do what it does. All of that stuff is going to be listed over there. Alright? And there's one specific thing that's extremely important for every single game object. Please shut that down. Please shut that down. So it does not disturb you again? No. Thank you. Alright. I'm going to right click here and I'm going to say create empty. And it says what? Anyone in the front that can see. It says game object right there. Okay? And over here it's only got one tiny little area. When I drag this guy in, there's more than that, isn't there? But this one only has a tiny little area. So, all game objects need that little tiny area. Every single game object has this exact same tiny area up here at the top. What's it called?
Transform.
Transform. Okay. Transform has three things that are important for transform. Position, rotation, and scale. If my object, let's say him, is he somewhere in the game?
Yes.
He has a position, doesn't he? Is he rotated? So he's straight, but that's still a rotation. It's zero rotation. Is he a certain size? Okay, so position, rotation, and scale are three things that every single game object must have. even if, delete him, we have this empty game object. I still have that there called transform. It is somewhere. See, it says position, and they got these numbers. It's somewhere. So let me move it over here. Do you see the numbers changed?
Yeah.
It's in a new position. Okay, I can make it larger, I can make it smaller, I can rotate it, whatever. But he's just empty. He's an empty game object. He doesn't do anything. All he has is a position in the game. I can't even see him down here, can I? Like moving around, you don't see anything because he doesn't have anything except for a position. All game objects need a position, and everything that we put in this list that tells us about our object, it's called a component. Okay? So those are the three words that we're going to be using a lot. Asset, game object, and component. Got it? Assets are down here. Game objects are up here. Components are over there. Those are three major areas inside of Unity that we'll be working in to create games. Alright? You have a question before you leave?
Yeah, so where do we get like the asset from?
You can find them online. You can draw them yourself. There's all kinds of ways to do them.
Like, what we play things to get it?
It's an image. Just go and look for an image of a dragon. Okay? Those are just images. That's all they are. Alright? Nope. What you need to see is your next class.
So we can see
Gentlemen,
all these drills.
enjoy your next class.